So tonight, VR, exploring everything VR. So we have a very fun-filled night tonight, as some of you may be experiencing upstairs the VR experiences. Thank you so much to the guys from Defrost, The Walk, and Goosebumps. A round of applause for those guys. Thank you. They'll be open again after we've had our talks and our panel discussions. So tonight, if you want to interact, it's all about interacting, right? Using hashtag NAB show and our other hashtag Explore VR. Please tweet, send pictures, talk about the conversations we're having here online. That would be absolutely wonderful. So we've got a lot to cover tonight, and I am so excited about the guy I'm going to introduce now. So we have Bryn Musa, who is the co-founder at Riot. Riot is one of the most prolific 360 VR news and storytelling organizations. They are based in Los Angeles and cover stories from all around the globe. Absolutely incredible stuff. Bryn was recently nominated for an Oscar this year for his documentary Body Team. I am going to now stop talking because he has a lot to say. So please join me in welcoming Bryn to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you hear me? This is good. Thanks. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Vex. It's so exciting to be here with the Foundry. The work that you guys are doing is allowing all of us to make such better work, so thank you guys for everything. I think, first off, maybe as a show of hands, how many are VR filmmakers here? If you raise your hand, filmmakers. And then in post-production, the post-production side? Oh, good. So it's about split. I just wanted to talk a little bit about how we got into VR, how we're using it, what we're excited about in the field, and where we sort of see it going. So just to start it off, this is how I started my career, which was in the Peace Corps. This was in 2001. I was in a small community in West Africa called the Gambia. And I think it was really there that I started to see how technology was really going to change how we all communicate. In 2001, one of my first jobs was to help educate these communities on telephone lines that the government was putting in. And about 2 months into that project, as we had already started to lay the groundwork, the first cell phone towers popped up. And within a month after that, the plans for these landlines were scrapped. And so this community and the rest of the country never had landlines that went there. They just went straight to a mobile phone. And this is a really exciting thing for all of us who are in the development space, because we knew that it was more people who were getting connected and more people whose voices could be part of the global conversation. I saw it again in Haiti, where I was after the earthquake. I lived there for 3 years. This is a baseball team that I started, a little league team. And these kids are all still living in tents after the earthquake 6 years later. Most of them are. Some of the poorest kids in the world, but they all have cell phones. And they all have Facebook, and they all have, many of them have Instagram. And they're connected to the rest of us in this really extraordinary way through their mobile phones and through this social media network that we have. And what's extraordinary about this is, I think I was struck when I was working in Haiti, realizing that these kids can communicate with people all over the world, really in the last 2 or 3 years because of mobile phones and how they've been spreading in the developing world. So these kids now can share stories, they can Facebook Live with some people from all across the globe, not only geographically diverse, but also socioeconomically diverse, and really reach people in a brand new way. And I think as a witness to this, it's this incredible moment where you have people whose voices never were really heard before, able to, for the first time, tell their own stories through social media, publish them themselves. And this was a really exciting moment, I think, as we did the work in Haiti after the earthquake. Soon after that, we started shooting a lot of films. This is on an iPhone. This is some Syrian refugees who we gave an iPhone to and are making a documentary of their own story. And this was another part that kind of led us to where we're going now with VR, which was if everybody could tell their own story with this phone that's in their pocket, and if they could all have access to the same sort of stories that we have access here, then not only is the opportunity that this distribution is really democratized, but the opportunity is that you can democratize storytelling. And that's what's really exciting for us. We have these iPhone rigs all over the world, and they're shooting 4K. They edit themselves and are able to upload directly. And that's a really incredible moment. That's a moment where a piece of technology has the potential to change the world, to change cultures, and to change media in general. And so we've been really exciting about experimenting with this, seeing how far we can push this. This is a film that we made for Apple on an iPhone in Nepal. This is a music video for Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros in New Orleans that we also shot on an iPhone. And then it took us to VR. So we've been shooting on phones for a long time, for a couple years. And then about a year and a half ago, we'd always wanted to shoot in VR, but I think that the limitations for us was the camera. They were really expensive and really bulky, and they required camera operators. And so as a company that has 30, 40 filmmakers all over the world, it wasn't a good solution for us, especially if we were shooting in war zones or post-disaster or post-crisis. And so it was just over a year ago that I saw the first Hero 360, which is this GoPro rig here. And it was a breakthrough for us as a company because it meant that we could shoot 360 video all over the world. We'd have a camera that we could fix if there was a problem. And as you guys all know who shoot with GoPros, there's problems all the time with these GoPros. And so we can repair them in the field. We have a bunch extra ones that we do. And it really gave us this opportunity where we could go out and shoot our own content, and we could teach ourselves sort of how to stitch it, how to edit it, put it together. And so we ended up getting a lot of these cameras. And for those of you who don't know, it's just GoPros with a little 3D printed case. And we have a bunch of different kinds of these, ones from 2 GoPros to 14 GoPros. Now there's new cameras that we're using as well for this. But this was a moment that we realized we could put these cameras in all of our filmmakers' bags and the journalists who are all over the world in their bags, and they could just go out there and shoot it, and we wouldn't have to sort of have this barrier where VR felt like somehow it was impossible for anybody to get into, like you had to jump through these big hoops. And that's how sort of we look at it when it comes to sort of our VR and 360, is we want to be able to tell these docu-style stories as they're happening. So we're turning around almost a piece of 360 a day, mostly news events. And that's really trying to see how far we can push this 360 video, especially as now the platforms begin to grow. We shot our first film in Nepal a day after the earthquake. Again, it wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for this little GoPro rig, because we couldn't have brought one of these larger cameras with us. We flew in on a helicopter, got right in, and shot this, and released it 4 days later. The next film we made was called Welcome to Aleppo, which we shot in Aleppo, Syria. Again, really the technology giving us this opportunity to get into places that we wouldn't normally have been able to go. Did a piece for the Sierra Club on climate change in Alaska. And then these are some of our latest films that we've been working on. This one over here was for the New York Times. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it last month. But what we've been excited about is that with VR and with 360 and how we can work with news, we now have an opportunity to sort of open up what platforms people can watch this content. So rather than just having it confined to a headset, we're much more interested in that mobile-first application of it, which is the cell phone, which is Facebook 360, YouTube 360, Google Cardboard. And so as a company, what we're most excited about is that not only now with this technology sort of becoming cheaper, becoming easier to get in people's hands, now we can make the content, but also as these platforms start to grow where you can show the content, it means that more and more places we're able to distribute our content. And ultimately what we want is the most eyeballs on our content that we could possibly get. Some of these have views in the millions, some tens of millions, some like 4 or 5. Those ones aren't so good. But really it gives us now this chance to reach people. And I think that as a company what we're excited about is the opportunities within 360 video. It's really like, it's really a platform shift. There's really an opening when you think about how video has traditionally been consumed, and now that's changed. And we were talking about a little bit upstairs, whether or not it's the platform shift or it's a platform shift, there's something really exciting that's happening, which is, the web is driven by video, and video has just changed, and how we consume video has changed. And that's a really exciting thing for us to do as we start to build this. We've got a great group of journalists and filmmakers who are working all over the world shooting these films. We've shot in 45 countries, made over 100 films. And those kids who are shooting them, I think as all of us in this room do as well, I think feel the weight of history around this moment as journalists, as doc filmmakers in 360. You know, we talk about as a team all the time that all of us are the ones that write this new language. You know, we get to create a whole new genre that didn't exist just a couple years ago, and that's really exciting. And I think that for us, it means that we get to experiment, we get to fail a lot, we get to succeed sometimes, but we're driven by this opportunity that as video has changed and how we consume video has changed, it means that every single category has an opportunity really to be rewritten, whether it's news, documentaries, marketing, commercials, films, and this is what's really exciting for us. So I just want to kind of leave it there. We're going to have a panel after this talking about VR and 360. Feel free to come up afterwards and we could talk about you know, technical things like that. Dirk, who's right there taking a picture, runs our post-production. He's the magic man behind the whole thing. But really excited to be here, and thanks, Bex.